Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on today's episode of Strengther, a special initiative by CXO Digital Pulse. In this series, we shine a light on the compelling tales of resilience, courage, and innovation as told by women who have left a lasting mark in their industries. Our guest today boasts an impressive career as a tech marketer and is currently head of enterprise marketing for Snowflake India. A warm welcome, Kanchan Belavadi.
Thank you, Pratik. It's lovely to be here.
Great. So, Kanchan, before we proceed forward with really serious discussions around the reason why we are here today, we would like to have a rapid fire round with you so as to understand you as a person who you are.
Sure, let's
So we'll
go.
start. Great.
Yeah.
So, one technology, Kanchan, as a trend that you think is most exciting to look at?
It's got to be Gen AI, right? Because the possibilities are so limitless. And specifically as a marketer, for me, content creation using Gen AI. And I personally have been creating images using Canva with just giving it prompts. And, sometimes the results are stunning, sometimes not so. But yeah, it's got to be Gen AI.
Great. And the biggest misconception about working in a tech industry?
That it's easy.
Okay, that's true. Especially considering the kind of dynamic environment it offers. Every day you have some other new technology with which you need to be adapt at.
Yes.
Okay. So one country you wish to visit?
Northern Ireland, and I want to do the Game of Thrones tour there.
Great. And I'm sure it's also known for its Northern Lights as well.
Yes.
Okay. The most influential marketing book you have ever read?
Well, not necessarily a marketing book, but I read Iacocca by Lee Iacocca when I was really young, and that was really impactful at that age. So I'd go with that.
Okay, great. And with that, we come to the last rapid fire question. Who do you identify as your spirit animal?
I'm going with turtle because, steadfast, reliable, consistent. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, great. That was really fast answers, I would say, Kanchan. So moving to the main sections, we delve into more discussions around, women empowerment and how they can accelerate their progress. So Kanchan, as we understand, you have over 16 years of experience in the marketing space and specifically the tech industry. So what are some of the pivotal moments or challenges that you have faced, and what was the way out? How did you overcome them?
Yeah. So much has changed since I joined the workforce right out of college, and the challenges that I faced back then are non-existent today. And I'm just looking at it from a perspective as a woman, right? So some of the things that I faced challenges, I overcame myself. For some of them, there was really supportive organizational leadership which was there. For example, when I started working, we didn't get laptops to work, right? We had to work at a desktop. And I was working in a role where you had to work with teams in the US, and how do you do that from office after hours, right? And I had a young baby at that time, so I'd love to come home and then pick up work after 8:30. So as an exception approval, I did get a laptop because the leadership was supportive of it, and I was like maybe one of the 5 people in the company to actually have a laptop. So that kind of helped. So some of these things you help and you get help and you overcome it with the help of your leaders, your colleagues, etc. And at that time, being able to dictate my working hours, being able to rejoin the workforce after maternity breaks, I think those were very crucial moments because that determined, the future path for me, that enabled me to stay in the workforce and then drive the work, the kind of work that I wanted to do in the future. And today the challenges are really different, right? Like, how do I make a better case for my team? How do I focus on getting the kind of work that I really want to do? How do I stay on course to help people overcome their biases? But I like to call these first world problems because now I have a seat at the table and I'm confident enough where I can voice and make a case for myself. And
Great.
when I look back and how I overcame some of these things, right, what really helped was, to speak up and also to make that case. Because if you don't speak up, then nobody knows what your challenges are. So it's important to speak up and also make a logical case about for whatever you need, whether it is support, whether it is something else, and you have to make that case for yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to get it done. So yeah, so when I was young, of course, I was hesitant to speak up, and a lot of it is cultural for us in India. Respect for elders, do not disagree, so those kind of things, and that bias was a little difficult to overcome. So overcoming that, acknowledging my own voice, that was the biggest breakthrough, I would say.
Okay. And Kanchan, as you mentioned, when you came back from your maternity leave, you had to make a case for yourself and present it to the table. How adaptive are now organization with such scenarios?
But today the scene is very, very different. Today we are looking actively at employing women if they come out of maternity breaks or otherwise. In fact, I wouldn't even restrict it to women. I think over the last few years we have seen a sea change of attitude in terms of how we view somebody who's taking a career break, and I think it has been normalized to a large extent. So if I am hiring somebody, I don't question why were you on a break and what were you doing during that time, because we have other lives to live, and caregiving duties, or we sometimes have to take care of ourselves too. So I think in my experience that has changed a lot. In fact, the second time when I was on a career break, right, my manager who was interviewing me never even asked why was I on a break, and he just hired me. So yeah, those kind of things are happening and are more the norm today.
Great. And Kanchan, now, as you said that, now you have a seat for yourself on the table.
Yeah.
In terms of representation of women tech industry, and especially on the leadership role, what progress have you witnessed? What are the specific areas that have significantly evolved? And secondly, what are still some significant improvements that are definite priorities?
Yeah. So I think, Pratik, you are well aware of the whole pyramid structure when it comes to women's representation in an organization, right? As you move up the ladder, women keep disappearing. You can call it the missing women leaders. And in all the years that I have worked, I've never reported to a woman marketing leader. And marketing is a function which has a higher representation from women, right? Just like HR.
True.
So and today when I run campaigns, when I'm looking at hosting a panel discussion, I'm actively looking for inclusion, and I am actually saddened when I see that there are no women speakers on that panel, because leadership is all still male dominated. In some cases, I don't even see 10% of the speakers on stage being women. So. And there was a very interesting Forbes article which I had read, which said that in 2022 there was I think a 32% of tech leadership, and this is a global study. 32% of women leaders in tech, and in 2023 that number actually dropped to 28, which was a little surprising, because we see in other industries there are women who are gaining ground and being more vocal, and they are gaining leadership positions in those organizations. But I think in tech it's a little backwards. Despite the efforts, half of women in tech leadership roles drop by the age of 35, and those who are in tech leadership roles, 57% of women express feeling burnt out, as against I think some 36% of men. So I think there is still a lot that we can do in terms of increasing women's participation at leadership levels. But that said, I do want to accept and acknowledge that we have done such a great job over the years in terms of including women, offering them the flexibility so that they have that option of staying in the workforce. Because longevity also matters when you have to look at leadership roles, right? So if women start dropping out early in their careers and then have it tough to get back to work once they are a little comfortable in their personal space, then we are never going to get women leaders. But today, I think that problem has, to a large extent, at least in tech, disappeared, where we are more inclusive. We include women. There are flexible working options available to them. And I'm hopeful that, considering the flexibility and the longevity and durability of careers today, and also the demand for talent, right, that's going to help us see more women leaders come up in the years to come. But the biggest area, where we need to focus to get women leaders to Show up is focus on executive sponsorship and mentoring, and not just at a mid-career level right from the beginning. So I think that's going to be critical if we want to increase, the number of women at a leadership level.
Great. And as you mentioned, the role of having a mentor, but considering also the fact that the count or the share of women in the leadership role are very low, what can organization actually do to ensure that mentoring aspects also? Because when we do not have a female leader to look upon, and there's a very recent one of the conversations, if you is of Radhika, who is leading one of the financial heads. She wanted to look for someone for mentorship, but she couldn't find a young CEO either at an India level or at a global level to actually look upon or cite an example. So these are certain key things. So how can organization ensure that a mentor exists?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Pratik. There are a couple of things. One is I wouldn't restrict mentors to be female. I think it should be okay if we have men who are, aware and more conscious of the problem and are willing to volunteer their time and sponsorship. I think that should also be okay, because if then it becomes a chicken and egg thing, right? You cannot get more women leaders, and unless we get women leaders, they cannot become mentors. So I think we need to be cognizant of that, and the program should include, male counterparts to sponsor and mentor women. And I think also within the community, and like when women grow into leadership positions, I think it should be, I don't want to say mandatory, but there should be more effort being made to give back to the community, actively look at mentoring, young and upcoming talent, which I do see happening. There are a lot of women leaders that I know who are actively supporting, younger folks.
Great. Also, Kanchan, reflecting on your career, the entire journey, what would you say have been the greatest achievement of yours, and how is that experience shaping your approach to the leadership role?
Oh, greatest achievements. Okay, so I always feel that the current project that I'm working on is going to be my best and greatest, because it's the sum total of all the experiences that I've had, and I always feel that I'm wiser today than I was yesterday. But yeah, every time if I have to look back, I think every program, and because I'm in marketing, right? So if a program that has helped sales, a program that has helped us win deals, I think that always gave me a sense of achievement. But if I had to single out one program, and a long-time favorite is in one of my earlier organizations, I had launched a customer advisory board, and this program included, some of the top CXOs of some of the largest global organizations. I got to interact with them, engage with them, and I got to witness the impact of creating a strategic program. Because otherwise, as marketing folks, you're always running after, creating pipeline, looking at quarter on quarter how to show that growth, building the funnel. But this was something which was very strategic, and I saw the impact that it created over a 2-year period, right? People who were reluctant spokesperson became customer advocates, and how that impacted winning large deals within that account and other accounts, and the whole participation that we saw from that entire organization once the CXO was on board. So it taught me the power of strategic thinking, and long-term vision. So yeah, so that was really important.
Okay, great. And are there any specific skills or say a mindset that you believe is really crucial for the specifically tech marketing industry?
So from a skills perspective, I think it also depends on what you are doing, where you come from in life. And I believe everybody goes through a different journey, and it is up to them to find the balance that helps them stay in the workforce, grow in the workforce, whichever is their priority at that point of time, right? For some, the skill set may be perseverance, for some, it may be a hunger for growth or knowledge. And sometimes you need a combination of different skill sets. For me personally, a strong work ethic has always helped me, which includes strong discipline, strong sense of responsibility and integrity. Because irrespective of the other variables in the equation, whether I know the subject matter or not, whether it's a new team or not, whether it's a new geography, I think these three things have always helped me look forward and build those plans and work with different diverse set of peoples and create an impact.
Okay, great, Kanchan. And we are coming to almost the last question of our conversation. So, for women who are aiming to build a career in tech and marketing, what advice would you offer them?
I just have one piece of advice, and that is be intentional about it. Be very clear on what you want to be, create that goal, and then create steps on how you are going to achieve it. Right? That is going to be very, very important. And that goal could be as simple as getting a job in an XYZ company. Then, how do you go about, the next steps? Do you know people working there? Do you know friends who might know people working there? Have you seen the company posting for job openings? What kind of people are they hiring? Do you have the skill sets? If not, can you build those skill sets, right? So it is extremely important to have that goal and then map steps towards achieving that goal. That's going to really help you stay motivated, as well as it gives you a sense of achievement when you get there. And trust me, you follow the goal roadmap thing, you will get there.
Great. And that's an amazing advice, I would say, because once you have that clarity of the goal and the execution part, nothing can stop you from achieving anything. Thank you so much, Kanchan, for this really inspiring conversation that we had right now and for sharing your experience and thoughts with us. I'm sure to our audience, this would be a guiding light for them. And thank you once again for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Prateek, for having me over. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Great. And for the audience, thank you once again for tuning into this episode. Do continue to tune in. We have many more inspiring stories as we continue to celebrate the International Women's Day, their resilience and strength across the world. Thank you.